My husband told me my sister was only his friend. 7 days after she moved into our house, she texted me that I had ruined her life. Her name was Camille, my younger sister. The person I used to call first about everything. Good news, bad news. A weird dream, a sale at Target. She knew every version of me. Or I thought she did. My husband was Owen. We had been married 14 years. He taught sociology at the university downtown. Camille taught literature there too. Different buildings, different departments, same campus, same long lunches I never worried about. I ran a small event planning company, weddings, retirement parties, company dinners, baby showers. I liked lists. I liked getting people where they needed to be. I liked watching a room come together after weeks of work. Owen used to say that was one of the things he loved about me. I made life feel organized, safe. He said he could come home after a day of meetings and theories and people talking in circles, and I made things simple. Camille used to say she envied that. She said I had a husband who adored me. A business I built myself. A house with a yellow front door and a kitchen everyone wanted to sit in. She'd bring wine over on Fridays. Owen would make pasta. I'd put out the good cheese I saved for company. Camille would tell us stories about students who submitted artificial intelligence papers and swore they wrote every word. Owen always laughed harder at her stories than at mine. I noticed that. Of course I noticed it. I just thought it was nice that my husband and my sister got along. Camille had been divorced 3 years. Her ex moved to Arizona with a woman from his gym. He called the kids on Sundays if he remembered. Mason was 9, Lily was 7. They stayed with Camille most of the time. I helped when I could, picked them up from school, kept juice boxes in my pantry, knew which chicken nuggets Lily would eat and which ones she said tasted weird, bought Mason a navy backpack after his zipper broke mid-school year. That was our family. Messy sometimes, loud sometimes, but ours. Then Nora messaged me on a Tuesday afternoon. Nora was Camille's closest friend from grad school. They still got coffee every week. Nora was quiet. A husband, a toddler, a job at the city library. She never started drama. She apologized when someone else bumped her cart at the grocery store. Her message said she was sorry. She tried to stay out of it. She couldn't do that anymore. I was in the back room of a hotel ballroom checking centerpieces for a corporate dinner. I thought maybe Camille was sick. Maybe one of the kids got hurt. I called Nora right away. She didn't answer. Then my phone started filling with screenshots. At first I didn't understand what I was looking at. Messages between Nora and Camille. Camille complaining. Camille crying through text. Camille saying she was tired of pretending Owen was just Lauren's husband. Camille saying she'd never met anyone who understood her the way Owen did. Nora asked if Owen knew. Camille wrote that he knew enough. She wrote that he loved me. That was the problem. He was too good to hurt me. Then she wrote the line that made my hands go cold. She said Owen and I were a choice. Owen and her were a connection. Soulmates. That was the word she used. There were more messages. Too many. Owen told her he understood why she felt invisible after her divorce. He remembered little things about her, sent her articles before she even mentioned them, stayed after their lunches and walked her to her car, told her her mind was beautiful. Nora asked if I knew any of it. Camille said no, said I wouldn't understand, said I was happy with flowers and table linens and dinner reservations, said I think she was trying to steal something that belonged to me. I read that sentence 5 times. Then I sat down on an overturned crate behind the ballroom bar. Hotel staff moved around me carrying trays and extension cords. Someone tested a microphone. A woman practiced a speech about quarterly growth. None of it sounded real. I texted Nora one word. Why? She called me right after. Her voice was shaking. She said Camille had been talking like this for months. At first it seemed like a crush. Then Camille started showing her the messages. Owen never wrote anything directly sexual, but he never shut it down either. He kept saying he loved me, nothing could happen, and that Camille mattered to him. Nora told Camille to stop meeting him alone. Camille said I had no right to take away the one person who saw her. Nora asked if I wanted the rest of the screenshots. I said yes. That was my first mistake that day. Not because I shouldn't have seen them. I needed to see them. But once I saw everything, there was no going back to the woman I'd been that morning. The woman who trusted her husband to have lunch with her sister. The woman who bought 2 birthday gifts every year because Mason and Lily liked different things. The woman who thought her little sister was lonely, not waiting. I finished the event because I didn't know what else to do. Smiled at people. Adjusted place cards, found an extra high chair for someone's niece. Checked my phone every time no one was watching. At 9:30, I drove home. Owen's car sat in the driveway, kitchen light on. Through the window I could see him at the table with his laptop open. He looked normal. That was the part I hated most. He looked exactly like my husband. I walked in. He stood up and kissed my cheek. Asked how the event went. Said he made coffee because he knew I'd be tired. I put my phone on the table between us. I told him to read it. His face changed after the first screenshot. Not much. Just enough. He sat down slowly. Scrolled with one hand. The other hand flat on the table. I watched him read Camille calling him her soulmate. Watched him read himself telling her she mattered more than she knew. Watched him read her asking if he ever wished they'd met first. His answer had been, maybe things would have been different. I'd already seen it. Still, hearing the silence after it felt worse. Finally, he looked up. Said it wasn't what I thought. I asked what I was supposed to think. He said he never slept with Camille, never even kissed her. He cared about her because she was my sister and because she'd been through a hard time. I asked why he didn't tell me she loved him. He looked down. Said he wasn't sure at first. I asked about later. He said later he knew, but he didn't want to embarrass her. Didn't want to blow up our family over feelings she couldn't control. I asked why he kept having lunch with her. He said they worked near each other. I said they didn't. Camille's building was on the other side of campus. I knew because I picked her up there during a rainstorm 2 months before. Owen rubbed his forehead, said I was focusing on details. Something inside me went quiet. I asked if he loved her. He said not like he loved me. I asked what that meant. He said they had things in common. Books, research, work. It was easy with her. An intellectual connection. But that didn't mean he wanted a life with her. Then, he said the thing I'd remember forever. The heart doesn't always choose the person who makes the most sense on paper. He said he chose me. Like I should have thanked him. I stood in our kitchen looking at the man I'd been married to for 14 years. I thought about every night I went to bed early because I had a wedding set up at 6 in the morning. Every lunch I packed him for late classes. Every time I told him to invite Camille over if she seemed lonely. He chose me, but he wanted me to know I hadn't been the obvious choice. I told him I needed to leave for a few days. He started talking fast. Said that was dramatic. Said we needed to handle this together. Said he'd stop seeing Camille if it made me feel better. If it made me feel better. I went upstairs and packed a bag. Owen followed me around the bedroom, kept saying my name, said he was sorry, said he'd been stupid, said it was just messages. I packed jeans, sweaters, my work laptop, the blue pajamas my mom gave me for Christmas. I couldn't decide what mattered. Everything in that room felt like it belonged to someone I wasn't anymore. At the door, Owen asked where I was going. I said Jenna's. Jenna Morales had been my best friend since college, my business partner too. She didn't ask questions when I called her from the driveway. Just said she was awake and I should come over. Owen followed me outside. Stood on the porch in bare feet, said he loved me. I said that was the problem. He'd used that word on both of us. Jenna lived 20 minutes away, in a townhouse with a tiny backyard and a dog named Pickle. She opened the door before I knocked, took my suitcase, held me while I cried into her neck. I cried hard, not pretty crying, the kind that makes your whole chest hurt. The kind where you can't breathe right after. Jenna didn't call Owen a monster. Didn't tell me what to do. She set a glass of water on the coffee table and sat with me until I could talk. When I showed her the screenshots, she went very still. Then she asked if I'd saved them anywhere besides my phone. I said, no. She opened her laptop. Told me to email them to a private account Owen couldn't reach. Told me to save Nora's messages too. Told me I didn't have to decide my whole future that night, but I shouldn't let anyone else decide it for me either. The next morning, she gave me a phone number, Erica Vaughn, family lawyer. Gray hair, red glasses, a voice that made people stop interrupting her. I sat in her office 2 days later holding a paper cup of bad coffee. She didn't tell me to divorce Owen. That was my choice. But she told me what I needed to know before I confronted anyone else. Copy the bank statements. Photograph the house. Don't move money. Don't empty accounts. Don't sign anything he puts in front of you. Change your passwords. Then she said something simple. People get very emotional when they realize they're losing control of a story. I thought about Owen on the porch. Camille writing that I wouldn't understand. They'd both been telling themselves that story for months. I was the last person invited into it. Camille called 18 times in 2 days. I didn't answer. Then my mother called. Marion said Camille was crying. Said she talked to Owen and nothing physical happened. Said people made mistakes when they were lonely. Said I shouldn't throw away 14 years over messages. I asked if she'd read the messages. Silence. Then no. Camille had explained it differently. Of course she had. I told her Camille knew Owen was aware of her feelings. Owen admitted it. They met alone multiple times a week and hid it from me. My mother said Camille had been struggling since her divorce. Said I knew that better than anyone. I said, being lonely doesn't make you entitled to your sister's husband. She sighed, said I was being cruel. That word hit harder than I expected. Cruel. Not Owen. Not Camille. Me. I said I had to go. Hung up before she could tell me to be the bigger person. My father called an hour later. Thomas never called unless something was wrong, or he needed help with his phone. He said everyone should meet at their house. Talk like adults. I said, I am talking like an adult. I hired a lawyer. He went quiet. Said lawyers made things ugly. I almost laughed. Asked if he thought his daughter telling my husband she wished they'd met first was pretty. He said I knew what he meant. I did. That was the problem too. He meant that if I stayed quiet, everyone else could feel comfortable again. Growing up, Camille always got the softer landing. If she forgot homework, Mom stayed up late helping her finish it. If I forgot mine, Dad said I needed to learn responsibility. If Camille cried because I got something she wanted, I was told to share it. If I cried because she broke something of mine, I was told she didn't mean it. I didn't hate her for it then. She was my little sister. I thought that was what older sisters did. We gave things up. We understood more. We made room. I'd been making room for Camille my whole life. I just never expected her to move into my marriage. Owen kept texting. Said he'd cut off Camille. Said he was in pain too. Said he missed me. Said he'd made a therapy appointment. Said he'd do anything. Then, on the 5th day, Nora called again. Her voice sounded worse than before. She asked if I was sitting down. I was in my office answering emails about a fall wedding, I said. Yes. Nora said Camille had moved into my house. For a second I thought I'd heard her wrong. Then she sent a screenshot from Camille's Instagram. A photo of my living room, my cream couch, my framed print of the ocean over the fireplace, my yellow throw blanket folded on the armchair. Camille sat beside Owen, his arm around her shoulders, a glass of wine in her hand. The caption said, "Sometimes you have to stop being afraid of the life you were meant to live." I stared at it until the words blurred. Nora said Camille left Mason and Lily with my parents. Told them she needed a few days to think, then packed 2 suitcases and went to Owen. I asked how Nora knew. Camille told her. Camille was excited. Owen finally understood they shouldn't keep denying what they had. I felt sick. Not because I wanted Owen back, because I'd left that house with 1 suitcase. Left my furniture, my work files, my grandmother's dishes, every ordinary thing I loved, because I thought I needed space. Camille walked into that space like it had been waiting for her. Jenna found me on the floor of my office, phone in my hand. She asked what happened. I showed her the picture. Her face went white. Then red. She said she wanted to drive over there and throw their wine glasses through the window. I said, no. I didn't feel calm. I felt empty. Like someone had taken all the air out of me. Jenna sat beside me. Said we'd call Erica. Said I didn't need to see them. Said that house was still legally my home too, and I had rights. That night, Owen finally called instead of texting. I let it ring twice, then answered. He sounded relieved. Said thank God. Said he'd been trying to reach me. I asked if Camille was with him. A pause. Then yes, I asked if she was sitting on my couch. He said he didn't want to fight. I asked if her kids were with my parents while she sat in my house with my husband. He said this wasn't how he wanted it to happen. After I left, Camille showed up upset. Said she had nowhere to go. He didn't know what to do, I said. You could have told her to go home. He said she was family. I told him. I was family too. He didn't answer. Then he said he cared about Camille. They were trying to understand what was real. He'd spent years denying things because he didn't want to hurt me. I asked if he hurt himself. He said he knew I was angry. I said, "Numb, I am done being confused." I told him all communication could go through Erica. He said, "Lauren, please." I hung up. The next week was ugly. My mother called every day. First Camille was overwhelmed. Then Mason asked why his mom wasn't coming home. Then Lily was sleeping in her shoes because she thought Camille might come get her in the middle of the night. I felt sorry for those kids. I loved those kids. But I wouldn't use them to excuse their mother's choices. I told my mother Camille needed to go home to them. My mother said I didn't understand how complicated things were. I said I understood exactly how complicated they were. Everyone kept asking me to carry the part that hurt. Camille sent one message that week. I never wanted this to happen. I love you. I spent years ignoring my feelings because you mattered to me. Owen made me feel like myself again. Then she said I had always had everything. That was the first honest thing she'd written. I didn't reply. On the 7th day, another message. 3 a.m. You ruined my life. I hope you burn in it. I woke to my phone buzzing on Jenna's nightstand. Read it once, then again. At 7:30, Owen called. I didn't answer. He called again and again, then left a voicemail. His voice was low, tired. He needed to explain. Things had gone wrong. Camille had left the house. He'd made a terrible mistake. He loved me and needed me to understand. I sat on the edge of the bed listening to it. 7 days. They'd thrown away 14 years of marriage, a sisterhood, 2 kids' stability, and whatever peace our parents had left, for 7 days. Nora called around noon. Camille had shown up at her apartment crying, carrying 2 garbage bags of clothes. Owen told her she needed to leave. I asked why. Nora didn't know everything. But Camille said Owen got angry after she asked when the kids could come stay with them. She told him, Mason and Lily need consistency. If we are going to be a family, you have to act like one. Owen said, I am not ready for that. She asked, what did you think would happen? He said, I thought we needed to slow down. She reminded him, you called us soulmates. He said, I did not mean that we should move in together. Nora said Camille screamed at him, said he'd used her. Said he only wanted her when she was a secret and easy. I closed my eyes. That was probably true. It didn't make her innocent. Owen wanted admiration without consequences. Camille wanted to win something she'd been competing for in her head. Both of them thought I'd stay quiet enough to let it work. They were wrong. Erica arranged for me to go back to the house with a police officer standing by. Nothing dramatic, no handcuffs. No yelling. He just stood outside while Jenna and I went in and took what I needed. Still, it was one of the worst days of my life. The house smelled like Camille's perfume. Vanilla with something sharp underneath. A mug in the sink said world's best aunt. I'd bought it for her 2 Mother's Days ago. My framed print hung crooked. A pillow from the guest room lay on the floor. Wine rings on the coffee table. Small things, stupid things, they made me cry harder than the screenshots did. Owen wasn't there. Erica had told him not to be. He'd left a note on the counter. I didn't read it. Jenna sealed it in an envelope and gave it to Erica. I packed my grandmother's dishes first, then my work binders, then the yellow blanket. On the fridge I found a drawing Lily made. Our family at Thanksgiving. Lauren, Owen, Camille, Mason, Lily, Grandma, Grandpa, everyone with giant smiles. I took it down carefully. Put it in my bag. At the bottom, Lily had written "We all belong together." I sat on the kitchen floor with that paper in my hands until Jenna came back and found me. She sat beside me. Didn't say anything for a while. Then she said belonging was supposed to feel safe. I nodded. That night I met Nora for coffee. She looked exhausted, kept twisting the sleeve of her sweater, apologized again and again for not telling me sooner. I told her the truth. I wished she had, but I was grateful she told me at all. Nora stared into her cup, said there was something else I needed to know. Camille had been talking about Owen long before her divorce. Not like she wanted to date him, not directly. But she compared everything to him. If her ex forgot a birthday, she'd say Owen never would. If her ex didn't listen, she'd say Owen always did. If I told a story about something sweet Owen did for me, Camille would go quiet for days. Nora thought at first Camille just admired our marriage. Then, after the divorce, Camille started saying I didn't appreciate Owen enough, didn't understand his work, made him feel small caring about things like centerpieces and client minis. I laughed once. It came out ugly. I'd paid half our mortgage with centerpieces and client minis. Nora said she knew. She said Camille hated that I never noticed the competition. Hated that I could be happy without needing to be the smartest person in every room. Camille believed she'd always been the one who deserved more. I thought about our childhood. The recital where Camille forgot her shoes and wore mine. The piano lessons I gave up because the teacher only had room for one more student and Camille cried. The summer program scholarship I turned down because my parents said the house would be too tense if I left after Camille didn't get in. I told myself those things didn't matter. I'd been wrong. They mattered because they taught Camille that if she wanted something badly enough, everyone else would move around her. They mattered because they taught me that love meant being understanding until there was nothing left of me. Owen asked to meet 2 weeks later. Erica said I didn't have to go, but I wanted to hear him once. Not for closure. I didn't believe in closure anymore. I wanted to see if he could tell the truth when no one was protecting him. We met at a coffee shop near his office, public, on purpose. Jenna sat in her car across the street. I could see her blue coat through the window. Owen looked bad, dark circles under his eyes. Uneven beard, same gray sweater he wore every Thanksgiving. For 1 second, seeing him like that made me sad. Then I remembered my couch, my blanket, my sister's wine glass in my living room. He said he was sorry before he even sat down. He said he'd been selfish. He liked feeling important to Camille, liked being the person she came to when she was sad. He told himself it was harmless because he never touched her while we were together. I asked if he would have stopped without Nora. He looked away. That was my answer. He said moving in with Camille was a shock. She became someone he didn't recognize. She wanted him to post photos, pick up her kids from school, talk about turning the guest room into Lily's room. She wanted promises. I asked what he expected. He said he didn't know. I said that was the problem. He'd never thought past what he wanted in each moment. He wanted a wife who made life stable, a sister-in-law who made him feel brilliant. Both, without having to choose. His eyes filled with tears. He said he knew that now. Then he asked if there was any chance for us. I felt nothing at first. No anger, no satisfaction, just tired. I told him I didn't know who he was anymore. He said he was still the man who loved me. I said, love isn't a prize for saying the right thing after you get caught. He reached for my hand across the table. I moved it before he touched me. Then I stood up, told him Erica would contact him about the divorce. He said my name once. Quiet. I walked out anyway. Camille showed up at my parents' house 3 weeks later. I was there because Marian had invited me for dinner. She wanted to try. She knew things couldn't go back to normal, but she didn't want to lose both her daughters. I almost didn't go. Then I thought about Lily's drawing. We all belong together. Maybe some families only belong together when no one told the truth. Dad grilled chicken in the backyard. Mom made potatoes, cloth napkins, candles. The heavy blue plates she only used when she wanted something to feel special. We'd been sitting 10 minutes when the front door opened. Camille walked in without knocking. She looked thinner, hair in a messy bun. Wearing one of my old college sweatshirts, the one I'd given her years ago after a fight with her ex. She stopped when she saw me. My mother stood up so fast her chair scraped the floor. She said, Camille, not now. Camille looked at me. Her face crumpled. She needed to talk to me. I said, no. She said, please? My father told us both to sit down. No one is leaving until we talk this through. There it was again, the old rule. Camille was upset, so everyone had to stop and make room. I looked at my father, told him I was leaving. He said I was being stubborn. My mother started crying. 2 daughters. She wanted them both in her life. Camille said she was sorry. I believed she felt sorry. I just didn't believe she was sorry for what she did. She said she never planned to fall for Owen. It started with conversations. He made her feel smart after years of feeling like a failure. She knew it was wrong, but every time she tried to pull away, he'd say something kind and she'd think maybe it meant something. I asked why she told Nora I had everything. She swallowed, said she didn't know. I asked why she moved into my house. She thought Owen loved her. Thought I'd left him and he was free. I said being free didn't make the house stop being mine. Didn't make my marriage disappear. Didn't make her kids less important. She cried harder, then said I'd always been better at everything. Better at work, better with people, better at being loved. Even when she was the smart one, everyone liked me more. The room went very quiet. My mother covered her mouth. My father looked at the table. I felt something strange. Not forgiveness. Not even pity. Understanding maybe. The kind you get when you finally see a crack in the wall you've been leaning against your whole life. I told Camille I wasn't better than her. She looked up. I said I was just not trying to take things from her. Then I told her I couldn't be her sister right now. She asked, forever. I said I didn't know. I didn't owe her a promise about how long it would take me to heal from something she chose every day. My mother whispered my name like she wanted me to soften it. I turned to her, told her I loved her, told Dad I loved him too. But I wouldn't come to family dinners where I was expected to comfort Camille about hurting me. I wouldn't pretend this was a misunderstanding. I wouldn't keep secrets so everyone else could feel less ashamed. My father started to say family was complicated. I said, family is supposed to be safe. No one answered that. I put my napkin on the table and walked out. My mother called after me. I didn't stop. Outside, the air smelled like charcoal and cut grass. My car sat under the maple tree where I'd parked since I was 16. I sat behind the wheel and cried a few minutes, then I went home. Not to the yellow door house. Owen stayed there until the divorce agreement was finished. I'd rented a small apartment over a bakery near my office. Tiny kitchen, bedroom that barely fit my bed. But every room was mine. Jenna helped me paint one wall green. Pickle got paint on his ear. We ate pizza on the floor because I hadn't bought a table yet. Not the life I'd planned, but quiet. The divorce took months. Owen didn't fight much. Erica called that a blessing. I called it guilt. Maybe they were the same thing sometimes. Camille moved back to her apartment. My parents helped with the kids. She started therapy. So did I. Therapy didn't make me feel better right away. Mostly it made me say out loud things I'd spent years making smaller. I talked about Owen's messages, Camille's jealousy, how I used to think being easy to love meant never needing too much. My therapist asked when I'd learned that. I said I didn't know. Then I thought about the piano lessons, the summer program, the things I gave up before anyone even asked. Maybe I'd always known. The worst part of rebuilding was how ordinary it was. People think a marriage ends in one huge moment. A scream, a suitcase, a lawyer's letter. Mine had all of those. But it also ended in smaller ways. It ended when I changed the emergency contact on my work forms. It ended when I took Owen's name off the account for the company van. It's a girl. It ended when I bought new plates because I couldn't look at the blue ones from my mother's table anymore. It ended when the first holiday came around and I didn't know where to go. Thanksgiving had always been at my parents' house. Mom made too much food. Dad watched football too loud. Camille brought a dessert she forgot to take out of the fridge until the last minute. Mason and Lily ran through the hallway in socks. That year, Marion called 2 weeks before the holiday, asked if I was coming. I asked if Camille would be there. Yes, Camille is still our daughter. The kids need normal things. We can try to be civil. I held the phone between my shoulder and ear while folding laundry. Told her I hoped they had a good Thanksgiving. But I wouldn't be there. She started crying right away. She'd spent her whole life trying to keep the family together. She didn't know what she'd done wrong. For once, I didn't rush to make her feel better. I told her that was part of the problem. She'd been so focused on keeping everyone together that she never asked what it cost the person being asked to stay. She didn't say anything for a long time. Then she said she was sorry. Not sorry like Camille said it. Not followed by a reason or a wound or a request. Just sorry. I told her I believed her. I also told her I still wasn't coming. Jenna invited me to her house instead. Just her wife Anna, 2 friends from work, Pickle, and me. Turkey from a grocery store tray. Anna burned the rolls. Jenna laughed so hard she almost dropped the gravy boat. No one made me explain myself. At one point I went to the kitchen to refill my drink. Looked through the doorway at all of them talking over each other. Not the holiday I was supposed to have. But I wasn't lonely. That surprised me. In December, Erica called. Owen had agreed to the final settlement. We split the house. He wanted to keep it. I didn't fight him for it. I didn't want the kitchen or the porch or the room where I'd packed a suitcase while he called my sister a connection. My share covered a down payment on a small condo near the river. Big windows, a terrible little balcony that barely fit 2 chairs. Old building. The elevator made a noise like it was unhappy to be alive. I loved it immediately. The first night there, I sat on the floor with takeout and listened to the pipes knock inside the walls. No yellow door, no big dining room, no guest bedroom for people who needed a place to land. Just a key that opened only my door. That felt like enough. The first few weeks in the condo were not peaceful all at once. I still woke up before dawn and reached for the empty side of the bed. I still checked my phone when a car slowed outside the building. I still expected Owen to walk through the door with a coffee and an explanation that made everything less terrible. He never did. Instead, I made new habits. On Wednesdays, I took Pickle for a walk with Jenna after work. On Saturdays, I went to the farmer's market by the river and bought flowers for myself. Not expensive ones. Just whatever looked good in a paper wrap. Tulips, daisies. Once a bunch of sunflowers that were too big for the vase. I started staying late at the office because I wanted to, not because I was avoiding an empty house. I met clients. I planned a charity dinner for the children's hospital. I said yes when Jenna asked if I wanted to pitch a bigger project with her. The old Lauren would have worried that wanting more work meant she was neglecting someone at home. There was no one at home waiting to make that choice for me. Some nights I hated that. Most nights, I loved it. Owen sent flowers the week the divorce became official. White lilies. He knew I hated lilies. The smell gave me headaches. He'd forgotten that years ago. Or maybe he never really remembered it. The card said he hoped I'd find peace. I gave the flowers to the receptionist in my building. Her birthday was that day. She smiled when she saw them. Then I threw the card away. Camille didn't contact me for months. Small updates through my mother. She was working again. Enrolled Mason in soccer. Lily lost a tooth at school. Camille stopped posting online. Owen moved into an apartment closer to campus. I didn't ask questions. Then one Sunday, a letter arrived at my condo. Camille's handwriting on the envelope. I knew it right away. She pressed too hard when she wrote. Every letter looked like it was trying to escape the paper. I left it on the counter for 2 days. On the third day, I opened it. 6 pages long. She was in therapy. She'd been forced to look at how she used being hurt as an excuse to hurt other people. She was ashamed of leaving the kids with mom and dad. Owen hadn't made her do anything. She made choices. I read that part twice. She understood if I never forgave her. She didn't expect a reply. She only wanted me to know she was trying to become someone Mason and Lily could be proud of. Different from her messages after the breakup. No line about me having everything. No line about being lonely. No attempt to make me responsible for her pain. I sat at my kitchen table for a long time. Then I put the letter in a drawer. I didn't reply. Maybe that sounds cold. A year before, I would have thought so too. I would have believed every apology needed an answer. Every wound needed to be made tidy before I was allowed to move on. But I was learning silence could be a boundary. It didn't have to be punishment. In January, my mother asked if I'd meet her for coffee. Just her. No dad, no Camille. I agreed. She looked older walking into the cafe. Hair shorter, same brown coat she'd worn since I was in high school. We talked about small things first. Her book club, my new condo, Mason's soccer games. She said the kids missed me. My chest hurt hearing that. I told her I missed them too. She asked if I wanted to see them. I said I did, but not in a way that made everyone pretend nothing happened. I couldn't be the fun aunt at birthdays while Camille watched me from across the room and my parents waited for us to hug. Mom nodded slowly, said she understood. Then she said Dad was trying too. He didn't know how to say it, but he knew he'd pushed me to accept things I shouldn't have. I said I was glad he knew. She reached for my hand. I let her hold it. Not forgiveness. Not a reset. Just one small thing that felt honest. Spring got busy at work. Everyone wanted weddings again. I spent weekends walking through hotel ballrooms and gardens and converted barns, helping strangers choose flowers for promises they hoped would last forever. Sometimes that made me sad. Sometimes it made me laugh. One bride asked, "Do white roses mean true love?" I told her, "They mean white roses. Love is the part people have to do after the centerpieces are gone." She looked at me a second, then laughed and said, "That sounds wise." I didn't feel wise. I felt like someone who'd learned the hard way that pretty rooms could hold ugly things. Maybe I'd always known. One morning, almost a year after Nora's first message, I stopped at the coffee shop near my office before a wedding consultation. Long line. A little girl crying because her dad wouldn't buy her a cake pop. Someone behind me talking too loud on speakerphone. My phone buzzed. An email from Owen. The subject line said, "I hope you are well." I didn't open it. For a long time, that would have been impossible for me. I would have opened it. Read every word. Tried to figure out if he was sorry enough. If Camille was sorry enough. If there was a version of the story where I could go back and make everyone behave differently. But standing in that coffee shop, I didn't want any of that. I deleted the email. Then I ordered my coffee and walked to work. A client was waiting. A room to plan. Flowers to choose. People counting on me to make something beautiful out of a day they wanted to remember. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't carrying anyone else's secret with me. I was only carrying my own life.